So with the James Harden move in full-fledged go and the 76ers looking really, really good, you guys already see the title of the video. I am going to answer the question, are the 76ers going to win and are they bound to win the NBA title? But of course, before I get into this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit. And without further ado, let's get right into this video. Now, of course, first we're going to start off with some notes. The 76ers are 4-1 since the addition of James Harden. In my opinion, they have the top MVP candidate in Joel Embiid. They also have a great supporting cast highlighted by Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey has averaged just about 25 points a game since the addition of James Harden. Adding James Harden seems to be an absolute money move so far. And since the addition of James Harden, this team on offense has been historically very, very good. Now, of course, there are a couple of reasons why I see the 76ers possibly winning the finals. Some of these are self-explanatory. Some of these could be a little bit surprising. However, the first reason is amazing talent. I mean, James Harden is seemingly back into form. MVP level Joel Embiid is here and he's finally fully healthy. Something that personally I've been waiting for a very, very long time. Tyrese Maxey is averaging over 20 points a game, which is absolutely incredible. Tyrese Maxey has really been freed up as a result of James Harden coming to the 76ers. I could really easily see him being a 20-point per game scorer during his career. They have a great stretch four in Tobias Harris who can pretty much do everything from defense to scoring. Not to mention they have a pretty good bench, and the team, they pretty much have nearly everything except for shooting off the bench. Besides that, as they traded that to go and get James Harden, they have pretty much every single strength you could possibly need to be a championship team. Now, reason number two is no more Ben Simmons distraction. This one is self-explanatory. Ben Simmons was clearly part of the problem. It was clear that Ben Simmons was part of the problem out in Philadelphia, and since he's been gone, Philadelphia's been so much better. Of course, it really does look like Joel Embiid is more freed up this season. It looks like he's playing more free. It looks like he's playing better, actually. So I'm actually really happy about Ben Simmons being traded away. I thought he was just a distraction. Turns out him being traded away has really benefited this team. And, of course, to the next reason number three, the 76ers have seemingly an unstoppable offense with James Harden on the floor. With James Harden, the 76ers are averaging 117.6 points per game since the addition of James Harden. So far, absolutely nobody has been able to stop this offense. Cleveland and the New York Knicks were both top 8 defenses at the time the 76ers were facing them. Let's just say the 76ers scored over 120 points against the New York Knicks twice, and they also scored just over 120 points against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So this offense is absolutely amazing. The only bad game by this offense has been against Miami. Miami is the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They only scored 82 points that game. However, besides that, this team is still averaging over 117 points per game. They are historically good with James Harden as their point guard. Of course, going to the next reason, the defense unexpectedly has not been a horrible problem. The defense is not terrible out in Philadelphia. They currently 6th, 7th in the league in points allowed per game. And with James Harden, they've allowed just about 109.5 points a game, which is still top 15 worthy when it comes to defense. So the defense is not terrible. And that's the one thing you worry about with James Harden being on the floor. You worry about your lack of defense, especially losing players such as Ben Simmons, who are Defensive Player of the Year candidates last year. Let's just say that the defense has not been that much of an issue. They have really ramped up the defense out in Philadelphia. This is really great. If Philadelphia can stay in that top 15-ish range in terms of defense, I believe that they can really shock some teams and prove a lot of people wrong when it comes to playoff time. Now, we're going to go into possible reasons the 76ers probably would not win a title. Just like there are a lot of reasons why the Sixers could win, I can make a lot of reasons why they probably can't. Number one is the obvious, injuries. James Harden and Embiid obviously both have injury history. They both have a tendency to get injured later into the season and into the playoffs. Tobias Harris has also had his fair share of injuries. Injuries are a big concern with this team because think about it. If James Harden and Joel Embiid happen to both get injured, or just one of them happen to get injured, where do the Sixers go? You don't have that great of a caliber player that can come off the bench and fill those guys' roles efficiently. That's why I'm very worried. I don't know if this team has the necessary depth to really replace either one of those guys if they get injured. However, if they stay healthy, they won't have anything to worry about. But given their injury history, given the fact that these guys tend to flame out at times during the playoffs, I wouldn't put it past them. It really worries me with the injury situation out in Philadelphia. Now, of course, number 2, there are just a lot of good teams in the Eastern Conference, and that is a point-blank period. The Bulls, the Bucks, the Heat, the Celtics, the Cavs, the Nets, the Hawks, the Raptors, and more. The Charlotte Hornets, just to name a few. All those teams are very respectable in the Eastern Conference. All those teams are capable of shocking any given team on any given night. It's just plain and simple. There are a lot of great teams in the Eastern Conference this season. It's actually unusual, if you ask me. There's just an influx of great teams in the Eastern Conference this year. I think the 76ers are among some of those great teams. However, the Bucks, the Bulls, the Heat, whom the 76ers just lost to last night as of the recording of this video, those are all teams that are very, very dangerous. Every team in the Eastern Conference can seemingly lose to any team in the Eastern Conference at this point. I think a lot of great teams and the influx of great talent in the Eastern Conference is definitely going to play a huge role onto who goes to and possibly wins the NBA Finals. Now, of course, reason number 3, possible bad playoff performances. Let's just say James Harden has a tendency of having rough playoff games and having rough games that negatively impact the team during the playoffs. The Houston Rockets days, those are pretty obvious. He had a lot of rough games that impacted his team during the playoffs, including a Game 7 loss to the Golden State Warriors back when Chris Paul got injured. James Harden had a pretty bad game, efficient-wise, during that time. So James Harden, he has a tendency to have bad games, not to mention the injuries, which I did mention earlier. The bad playoff performances, it's definitely a possibility. It's definitely possible, but that both of these stars, can flame out. By both of the stars, I mean Joel Embiid and James Harden could really, really possibly flame out during the playoffs. It definitely has me worried. It is a cause for concern. Now, of course, going into my conclusion about this team, I think the Sixers have a great chance of winning, and I will not be surprised if they win the finals. But I think it's a little bit too early to determine. It's only been 5 games in. They just lost to the Miami Heat last night. Yes, they are a great offense. However, we don't know how these guys will play together quite yet. We haven't seen them mesh quite yet. We haven't seen them over an extended period of time. We've only seen them over 5 games. They're 4 in one of those 5 games. No doubt that is a great start. However, I do think it's a little bit too early. I think personally that the 76ers will go to the finals. I definitely think they can win it. That's just my personal opinion on it, but it is a little bit early. We have to see how this plays out. We have to see how the whole Eastern Conference plays out because there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of great teams. I definitely think this can be a very, very great possibility when it comes to the 76ers winning the finals. However, personal-wise, I think the Eastern Conference is stacked. I think it's a little bit too early to determine. But, of course, that's going to be the end of this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn the notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit. Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, audio podcast, all those links are going to be in the description. Of course, please, I would urge you to please subscribe, like, follow those. But whether you do that or not, I wish that you stay loved and stay blessed. Nothing but the best for you. Without further ado, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.
Wanna be rappers, brag about already being the best. I respect many people for the job they've done. Haters full of jealousy is what I like especially. I like a lot of funky men that lack finesse. Wanna be rappers, brag about already being the best. I respect many people for the job they've done. Haters full of jealousy is what I like especially.